6 steps to building wealth in your life, along with the 5 manifesting techniques that I used to generate wealth and abundance in my life. And we'll finish up with the 4 don'ts of success. Just got hit with a spider web in the face. So I'm out here walking in the woods, something I highly recommend if you want to manifest anything. Being out in the woods will open up your creativity. It's going to help to ground your energy, and just getting away from everything, everyone, different people, different electronics. Ironic because I'm recording with a microphone and a phone and a camera out in the woods. But all of that is going to help, no matter what you want to create in your life. But that's not why we're here today. So I wanted to take you on the Wealth Woods walk with me, and I'm going to go over how I've generated wealth and abundance and success in my life, and specifically supercharged it in the last 2 years. And it's going to be these basic foundational 6 principles that I'm going to share with you. Oh, that's a spider web. Oh shit. Spiders be out here today. So I'm going to share these 6 basic principles with you. 6 steps to building wealth. Now, the very first step is awareness. And I know some of these may sound boring, but stick with me here. This is how you build wealth and abundance. It may sound boring, but if you are not currently wealthy and abundant, then try this system out and see how it treats you. Anyway, step 1 is awareness. You've got to become aware of where every dollar you make is spent, right? How much money are you making every month? These spider webs are fucking crazy. How much money are you making every month? And where is it going? So the easiest way to do this is to start tracking every time you buy anything, you spend any money from a penny to $1 to $1,000, where is it going? You can make a spreadsheet. There's apps for this that you can tie into your bank account, make sure they're reputable, where you can instantly swipe to categorize your expenses. I'm serious with these spider webs, y'all. It's out here. And if you do that for 1 month, you'll get a snapshot of where your money goes each month. Now, I recommend keeping this practice up for the rest of your life, tracking where every dollar goes. It's something that I do because if you are not aware of something, it cannot be managed or improved. Got to be aware of it first. Now, part of that is, again, to understand, are you spending more than you're making every month? Maybe you don't realize that, you're spending $200 or $300 a month on lunch from work. We're getting coffee. Or some of these frivolous things. Maybe your streaming services are costing you more than you think. There's a lot of places where savings can be had. And when we cut those expenses down, we can then use that money to invest. And that brings us to the second step to building wealth. And that is controlling your expenses and creating budgets. As we mentioned, you get your monthly snapshot. You see where your money's going. Well, now it's time to start controlling those expenses. Going through all your expenses, and this isn't like, a prison sentence or an austerity measure here. I'm not saying you can't have nice things or that you can't spend your money on things that are frivolous, but we want to cut it back. We want to cut it back so there's sufficient money left over for saving and investing. And then for those expenses you have to pay, creating budgets, right? So if, for example, you're going to spend money on food. You're a human, you eat, right? You're going to want to budget that grocery expense. How much do you spend each week on food? Are there ways you can restructure that to save some money and create a predictable budget so you're not spending more than you think on these things? Same with household items. Budgeting lunch, maybe you'll eat lunch out a couple of times a week instead of every day. So creating those budgets, controlling those expenses, because at the end of this, we want to have extra money left over that isn't going to be spent, that you can save and invest, right? Creating an emergency fund for savings and then beginning to invest. We're going to get to that later. Now, this is an optional step coming up, and that's to control your debt and get an idea of what your debt looks like. Not everyone's in debt, so if this isn't relevant to you, skip to the next step. But if you have debt of any kind, you need to get it under control. Now, what does that mean? Well, first, we have to stop using debt. If you are not already wealthy and abundant, you have no business using debt. Afterpay, Klarna, all that bullshit has got to go. Why? Because the interest rates are insane for those things. And you are just getting hammered and hammered by the interest. Payday loans, don't even look at them. okay, the interest is, you will never get out of that hole without sufficiently increasing income because the interest is so high. So we want to stop using debt. This is one thing I had to do. I didn't realize how many bills I had on auto pay from my credit card. You know what I mean? And then I'm paying 25% interest or whatever, and it's keeping me stuck. It's keeping me poor. So we got to stop using credit and get everything moved over to our normal checking account to be paid from. Then you got to look at all of your credit cards. All right. What's the minimum payments? What's the interest rate? Are the current cards at 0%? They're on a promotional APR. You know, look at that debt situation. How much do you owe? Right? What does the payoff timeline look like? If you just paid the minimum payment for most cards, that's like 10 to 20 years. All right. The minimum payment is not your friend. You want to at least bump it up a little bit to where you'll see that the payoff date, there's calculators online, the payoff date will be, instead of 30 years, will be like 5 years, right? Something reasonable. And also understand, as you get wealthier and more abundant, debt can become your friend, especially debt that's a lower interest rate, like under 10%. Rich people will take out debt at those low interest rates to then invest it in the market and buy assets because the assets go up more than the amount they're paying on the debt. But that's more for when you have wealth and abundance and you're looking to then scale it to the next level. It's not when you're trying to build it. Now, once you get your debt under control, right, you get a plan for paying it off in a certain amount of time, you have a better understanding, we're not using credit cards anymore. Now comes the fun part, saving and investing. Look at saving and investing as you are paying yourself, right? A book I've read recently that's really great and a good kind of beginner's guide to building wealth and abundance on the recommendation of Jim Rohn is The Richest Man in Babylon. And it covers a lot of the principles I'm mentioning here, but it's a very good base foundation for building wealth, saving, and getting, you know, your finances under control. Well, one of the biggest points in that book is that you want to pay yourself a portion of what you make. And you may say to me, Lance, that sounds silly. Don't I get all the money I make? No, right? You're spending it in these expenses. You're spending it at Starbucks. You're spending it at the fast food joint. You're spending it on bills, right? None of that's going into your pocket. You've got to start saving money. So part of your monthly budget is going to be a comfortable amount of money that you can save and budget it right out from the very beginning. As soon as you get paid, a chunk of your money that you know you can pay reasonably goes into a savings account. And we want to start building up at least, bare minimum, a 1-month emergency fund, ideally 3 to 6 months, so that no matter what happens, you can still pay your bills and live, feed your family. If you got fired, for example, for a couple of months at least. As you build up that emergency fund, you want to also start looking at investing. You want to have your money making more money for you. Now, one of the safest ways to do this is to invest, and if you're a United States citizen, to invest in an S&P 500 index fund or ETF. That's going to give you a decent average return, 8% a year, for relatively little to no risk. Because you got to be careful when you're investing. You know, you have to make sure you're investing in something that's not super risky, but it's going to give you a decent return. And there's plenty of ways, you know, you have a magic piece of glass in your pocket that has all of human knowledge and history in it. And you can use that to research how to invest. It's beyond the scope of this video. It would be so long if I started getting into that. But really start researching different things you can invest in to get different returns. And continue putting money both in the savings and in the investing account. And there's plenty of savings accounts that will give you a decent yield. Your normal bank account savings account is trash, okay? It's like 0.1% interest. You will literally make nothing with that. There are some other banks, institutions, credit unions, online banks that'll give you 2%, 3%, 4% on a savings account that you can draw from actively. The money's not locked up. Something you want to look into. Now, the next step in our 6 steps to wealth is increasing income, right? You got to start where you are. So you have to get awareness of the cash flow. You've got to start understanding your expenses and your debt. You've got to start saving and investing with where you're at. Now, the next step is to increase that income. If we can increase the stream of gold into our purse, we can then have more to work with, right? Grow our savings and investing faster and get to the life we want to live in a much quicker pace. One of the main issues we all face is as your income increases, you get lifestyle creep. As you start making more money, if you're not aware of it and conscious in where it goes, it ends up being eaten up by new expenses. Next thing you know, you've got more streaming services, right? Next thing you know, you're eating out more often. You're buying things for the yard, You're increasing the quality of the food that you're eating, and some of that may be okay, but what you really want to do is anytime you make any new permanent monthly income, immediately earmark the majority of it towards saving and investing. Because if you can get rid of it in the very beginning, you can prevent and combat that lifestyle creep. That's one of the things I started doing. Every time I added a new client to my business, the profit after taxes and expenses, 100% of that profit went directly into my saving and investment bucket, period. And by doing that over these last 2 years, it's really helped me to generate, an additional $150,000 in my saving and investment bucket. And I started this journey little over $100,000 in debt. Okay, that's where I started from 2 years ago. And this is how I learned all these things. Is that was such a painful event for me that it really became the catalyst for change. I'm sorry, there's spider webs everywhere, so I keep getting them all in my face. So that's how we can combat lifestyle creep. And there's lots of ways that we can increase our income, okay? So first of all, if you are like the majority of people, if you have a 9-to-5 or you're working for somebody else or a different business, you can, I almost got assassinated. Did you see that? That thing just like that. Well, what you can do is job hopping, okay? If you are already, let's say, I don't know, a software developer, or perhaps you're some sort of graphic designer or something, you're making a certain salary where you're at. Well, start looking for the very same job that you do at different businesses, because the dynamic of power is reversed. When a company is hiring, you have the power because they need someone to fill that role. They are more likely to pay you more than you're making at your current job. Why? Because at your current job, the power dynamic is flipped. The company is in power because if they want to let you go or leave or whatever, you can't pay your bills, right? So the company has the power over you. When you go to companies that are hiring, you have the power. And you're not hurting for a job, so you can play this game until someone will hire you at the rate you want. So let's say you're making $50,000 a year at your current job. Start looking at what job openings are available. Find companies that are hiring your position, right? See if they're offering any salary information on the main page. If they're not, it doesn't matter. But if they are, you may already see that they're paying more than you're getting paid. And start interviewing, right? Get a good resume. Again, magic piece of glass in your pocket to research how to make a good resume. And go and have the conversation and be completely relaxed. Because remember, you don't need this job. This is just an opportunity for maybe that you can make more money. So go there, have a conversation, ask about the business. You start asking them questions, which shifts more power to you. And then come up with a presentation, a way of presenting yourself that how much value you can bring to this company. If you've been an employee doing this role for so many years, tell them about all the major achievements you have, times you took the initiative and made projects and brought to completion, how you've helped your previous company. And tell them that, I really value what your company is doing, I like the culture, and I want to be a valuable employee to bring value to your company. And in order to do that, when it comes time for salary negotiations, you can say, look, I bring a lot of value in my current position. I would like to make, $70,000 a year. You throw the number out there, anchor the conversation on your number. And if they accept it, great. You just got a $20,000 a year raise, right? For doing nothing but interviewing at another company. And if they don't accept it, well, that's fine. You got to practice interviewing. You don't need the job. You already have one, right? And you can just go on to the next one. And the key is doing this repeatedly. I don't mean like every day, but every so often, maybe once a year or something, go out into the job market, look for more jobs, because now you're making $70K. You interview at another place. Well, I really want to make $90,000 because I've brought so much value to this company, right? And rinse and repeat. This is what people do to swim upstream with the career they currently have. And at the same time, you could also, following this timeline here, figure out what the job above yours is if there's a hierarchy of this kind of thing. And say to yourself, how do I become more valuable to the company such that I can have this higher position? What do I have to do? How do I have to improve myself to provide value? Because remember, when it comes to work and making money, It's not about what you can get. It's about the value you can provide, because the more valuable you make yourself, then the more people will value you and pay you more. Plain and simple. McDonald's pays their average employees like what? I mean, this is 2024, so 15, 16 bucks an hour, right? That's not all they pay, right? They pay people millions of dollars a year at higher levels in the company, right? Become more valuable so that you can be paid more. And that leans right into the next part of increasing your income is maybe you say to me, Lance, I don't have skills, right? I went from high school to start working. I started working. I don't really have any skills that are marketable. I don't believe that I'm valuable to the market. I can't really just hop from job to job because there's a set fee and that's it. Again, how can you make yourself more valuable? How can you go out and acquire the skills that will allow you to change careers? Are there college courses you can take? Are there free YouTube videos that will teach you how to get into a new job that makes more money, right? Or are there ways that you can become more valuable in your current job? Self-study nowadays is so free and so simple to do. There's YouTube videos for everything. This is a YouTube video right now about how to get your finances in order. Where, 20, 30 years ago, before the internet was a big thing, you'd have to either get books and hope you could find one, or you'd have to go to college. And you don't need to do that anymore. So figure out how you can become more valuable, how you can learn more skills, and even transition into a job that you may not love. People fall into the trap of, oh, I have to work a job that's my passion and blah, 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 blah. No, you don't. You just got to find a job you can tolerate that pays you a lot of money, and always be planning and scheming for your next level, right? Maybe you go get a job in IT, even though you don't really like it because you've heard it pays well. And while you're there, you save up enough money that you can learn and transition into a job you would like, or start your own business. It's okay to do jobs you don't like. Just make it one that you could tolerate working for a while so you can stack the money and keep investing. Now, the sixth step to wealth and abundance is continuing to learn, research, and study, not only on your skills, but on the process of building wealth and maintaining it. Study and learn more about ways you can control expenses. Study and learn more about how you can invest and what different investment vehicles serve different purposes. Study and learn about how to protect your wealth. What kinds of insurance do you need against your assets? Getting life insurance to make sure your family is protected. In the awful case that maybe something happens. But never stop that learning journey. Every day, I research and study and learn all kinds of shit, about all the different things I'm interested in and in what I believe leads to a successful human life. And studying wealth and abundance is something I study to this day. And it's paid dividends, I was in debt by about over $100,000. We were taking care of a sick family member that had cancer. This family member was also a troll who would spend any money that they had on gambling and cigarettes and all sorts of things. And then when they were out of money, they would come to us to pay for their medicine, their doctor visits. And so this was kind of a shitty situation, and we were stuck there. I mean, nobody else was gonna take care of the person. So through that time, all of my money went towards that. And I had to use debt to help fund them. And after a few years of this, I got so resentful about it that I was like, well, I'm gonna buy what I want using debt too, because I'm tired of not living the life that I want because I'm busy chained to taking care of this person, And that was a mistake. So that led to us being in over $100,000 in debt, my wife and I. And it hit a kind of a tipping point, I would say 2021 to 2022. I had been ignoring everything. There was no awareness. There was no expense tracking. There was no knowledge of what I even had for credit cards. Buying groceries with the credit cards. It was nuts. But I started the process that I outlined here. And after 3 days of, rocking myself to sleep in the fetal position because I was in so much debt, I quickly learned, okay, I got to get this shit under control. I started getting things under control. I increased my income. I controlled my expenses. And now, literally, 16 months later, no, actually I think it's 2 years now. 2 years later, that debt is now down to under 50,000, and I'm sitting with over 100,000 in investments and savings. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that to show you what's possible. When you start paying attention and tending your garden, it's amazing what can grow. Where your focus goes, energy flows. So if you focus on building wealth and abundance, you will create more wealth and abundance. It's just simple as that. Now, coming up, stick around with me here because now we're going to get into the 5 manifesting steps that I took. This is a manifest and create your own life channel. This is what we talk about here, and I like to blend the practical and the mystical. So now we're going to get into manifesting steps that will help to supercharge the process. But you need both, okay? It's a very important thing to understand. Just doing practical steps will not get you what you want. And if it does, it's going to be very slow. Just doing manifesting steps will not get you what you want, right? This is the world of 3D. Action is the language and currency of 3D reality. You have to take action. But if you blend these two things together, oh boy, can you get results way faster. So now we're going to get into the 5 manifesting and esoteric steps that I took to create the wealth and abundance that I have now in this wonderful life, where I'm able to go walk into the middle of the woods to record this video in the middle of the day, while my money's busy making money for me. So the very first step is understanding the mirror principle. So what the mirror principle states is your inner reality, who you are currently busy being, your identity, is creating the outer reality around you. Now, before you click off thinking that's some bullshit, think about it, right? Think about it. When you're angry, you have that anger energy within you. Doesn't it just seem like there's more things to keep feeding that anger? More spider webs. A lot of spider webs inside, making spider webs out here. It just seems like there's more anger, right? There's always something else to be angry about. The people you come across are angry, right? Nothing seems to go your way. You just get more frustrated and more pissed off. Now, the same is true on the opposite side if you're happy, right? If you're happy, you just find more things to be happy about. People are generally more agreeable and happy and interacting with you. And good things start coming your way. And when good things happen, more good things start happening. That's the mirror principle at work. So how do we use this for the life we want? Well, think about the outer reality that you want, right? The way that you want it to be. And then reverse engineer what would have to be going on inside of you to create that reality. And this flows directly into the second principle, which is identity shifting. Not only what's going on within us, but our actual core identity is changeable. You are not stuck as you are now. Whether it's pessimistic, poverty mindset, toxic ideas about love, you're not stuck with any of that. You can change all of it, right? Beliefs are simply meanings that you assign to things in reality, and those meanings can be changed within you. So when it comes to identity shifting, I'm covered in spider webs. When it comes to identity shifting, what version of you would you have to become to live the life and create the life that you want to live? What are the thoughts, feelings, actions, and beliefs of that version of you? Align yourself with that version and start taking action as that version. Now, it's okay if you backslide to your old identity. It's part of the process. You're going to kind of go back and forth between new, old for a while until you start spending more and more time in the new identity. And that's okay, right? So what would that wealthy version of you think? What would that wealthy version of you spend money on, right? How would they get from here to where you want to go? And start acting like that. And it really is as simple as that. It's making the choice and then acting as if. Very much fake it till you make it. Because the more you do that, the more your outer reality will respond to you. Changing those beliefs are super important. You've got to uproot, like weeds in a garden, you've got to uproot the beliefs that are keeping wealth and abundance from you. Believe that there's not enough. There's not enough to go around. Money doesn't grow on trees. There's always another bill. There's always another expense. Oh my God. You gotta let all that go, right? You gotta let all that go. Let some more positivity, higher vibrational state into your life and change those beliefs and start acting as if, and things will shift. Now, the next manifesting step, visualization. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that by now, the work of Neville Goddard. Yep, creating a scene of the wish fulfilled and having the same thoughts and feelings about what's happening in your visualization. You can also project yourself into the visualization, seeing through your own eyes, and almost like virtual reality, taking action in the visualization that aligns with the new identity. See yourself walking around, talking, acting, thinking, and feeling in alignment with the new identity and in the environment that you want to be in. This is a very powerful tool because neuroscience tells us the human mind cannot tell the difference between this quote unquote reality out here and what you imagine inside your mind. It's all the same to the brain, because what you experience isn't really what's happening out here. You're just experiencing data from your 5 senses that your brain is taking and then constructing this around you. The same way that we can't see all of the spectrum of light, only a small visible portion. We can't hear all the sounds. We can only hear a small portion of it as a human. That's how sensitive our instruments are. So what you're seeing isn't even full reality. And then even worse, it's being filtered through your beliefs, right? The stored automatic meanings you have about what's around you. So that's why someone who got bit by a dog as a kid could see a dog, and that's a negative, scary event. Someone that loves dogs sees a dog. It's a wonderful event. I want to go pet it, right? That's the difference. That's the key example of the difference between these two things. And it's the same with everything in your life, with abundance, with love, with success, with happiness, with health. It's all about you, the meanings you are assigning, and who you are currently busy being. Now, the next manifesting step that I took that really helped to supercharge my wealth and abundance journey was keeping a high vibration. Now, again, before you click off thinking that's just some spiritual nonsense, this is a real thing, okay? And we kind of touched on it earlier, but keeping a high vibrational state. Now, what does that mean? That means, in general, in our day-to-day life, coming across normal circumstances, we want to keep a positive attitude about things. We want to assume the best about the people we interact with, or at least that they're doing their best if they're curt or frustrated with us. Or if we get caught in traffic, that is not an excuse to become a raging monster and go home and take it out of your family, okay? Traffic's a normal thing, it happens, right? Put an audiobook on, watch YouTube, chill out. Because, as we stated earlier, your vibration, part of the mirror principle, helps to generate what's happening around you. If you're having a bunch of angry, frustrated thoughts, you're going to get things that manifest out of that in your outer reality. You know, if you're busy feeling depressed and hopeless, you're going to get more depression and more hopelessness because that's what you're focusing on. That's what your mind is busy sending out, like an antenna to the universe, and it's receiving it back. Your thoughts go out like a boomerang and come back to you. So be very careful what you're sending out. Now, I said day-to-day life because sometimes things happen and you need to genuinely feel those feelings. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, a family member dies and you're supposed to go to the funeral grinning like the Cheshire Cat. No, be human, right? Be sad, feel your grief. Just don't live there. The problem we make as humans is something bad happens, and instead of experiencing it, feeling it, and letting it go, we end up holding on to it. And then days and weeks and months and years go by, and it's like, can you believe what she said to me? Can you believe how he treated me? Oh my God. And it's so dramatic. It's so as the world turns, right? Instead of experiencing it, feeling it, processing it, and just letting it go. And going back to your centered state, your centered high vibrational state, which is going to bring better things to you. And lastly, when it comes to Jesus, that's a fucking big spider web. Lastly, when it comes to manifesting, the normal outcome of these manifesting practices is going to be you having inspired actions. You're going to be inspired having these ideas of things that you can do to manifest what you want, right? When I was busy trying to create wealth, one of the very first things that happened is my vibration started to raise, and I started getting ideas for how to generate more money, ways that I could creatively cut my expenses and create budgets. Like, that's the first thing that happened. And I followed those steps dutifully, and literally within 2 or 3 months, in 2022, is towards the end of the year, when I've been practicing all these things, I was driven to increase sales and marketing for my company. Now you might say, oh, Lance, you have a business. No wonder you have money, blah, 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 blah. Anyone that started a business knows it ain't that easy, dog, okay? I didn't make any money for the first 2 years, okay? Starting a business is hard, belief. Starting a business can be hard. But anyway, I started sales and marketing. I got 0 clients, 0. How is that possible? I was living my passion. I was doing what I was called to do, but I got no clients. Well, sometimes the universe gives us action that doesn't give immediate results. Sometimes it's more about us taking action to prove to the universe we're serious, more than the action is going to actually do anything. And sure enough, my sales and marketing, I spent a lot of money on it. Got me 0 clients. But after doing it The following month, I had no results, but I was trusting, and I kept plowing ahead. Following month, I got 5 new clients. None of them came from the marketing and sales. They were all referrals from existing clients. Because I set the energy, I sent my thing out like a boomerang. I took action towards my goal, and the universe met me more than halfway. And to give you a context, my business currently has 25 clients. So getting 5 clients in 2022 was like a lot. I mean, that was like a 25% increase in my income, which allowed me to pay my debts down, start saving, start investing even more aggressively. And that's just an example of how inspired action may not bring you what you want at first, but keep at it, follow the universe's direction, and you will get what you want. Now, if you follow those 6 wealth building tips and steps, along with the manifesting keys that I've shared with you, you can pretty much create the wealth that you want in any way, shape, or form. I'm telling you, these are the core principles that wealthy people start with to get money in abundance, to get started on the journey. There's a lot of advanced techniques and tips on top of that, but this video is long enough already. Now we're going to end this off with the 4 don'ts of success, okay? The 4 don'ts of success, the 4 don'ts of manifesting, pretty much the 4 don'ts of anything if you want to be successful. Now, first of all, don't set a time limit on what you want to create, especially when you're manifesting, okay? Neville Goddard tells us, and many manifesting teachers tell you, that timing is none of our business. Timing is for God and the universe to decide. It's not up to us. How do you know that an extra 6 months of waiting might give you 10 times the return on what you want to create than if you got it now, right? Also, a lot of times we're not the version of ourselves that's compatible with what we want to create. So that extra 6 months or a year is more about us becoming ready than anything to do with the manifesting itself. Next key don't tell other people what you are creating. There are too many well-meaning but cynical people in our lives where we tell them our big goal, our big dream, our big idea, and they just shit all over it because they're trying to save us. They're trying to protect us from, getting too excited and, being unreasonable and, not being down to earth in reality. Like, miss me with that. Like, have big dreams, go after big goals, create your desire on earth. Okay, you can do this. So if you are going to tell someone, it is helpful to find maybe 1 or 2 trusted confidants that will support you no matter what. You could come to them and be like, look, man, I'm going to build an alpaca farm, right? I'm going to sell their milk. I'm going to shear them. I'm going to sell coats and stuff out of it. It's going to be $1 million idea. And you want that best friend that's like, man, I might not agree with this, but man, good for you, dog. I'll help you out. I'll help you find a farm location. I'm going to help you get some financing together. We're going to find people. We can get some investors. That's the kind of support you want. You don't want someone that's going to be like, an alpaca farm. Are you crazy? What are you talking about? Because the more cynical minds you run it through, the more your own mind is going to start changing its beliefs to align with theirs. You're going to go, maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe I shouldn't do that. And those well-meaning people will talk you out of what could potentially be the best alpaca farm the world has ever seen. So don't tell other people, or tell like one bestie, or maybe your mom or something if she's supportive. Now, the third don't get discouraged if it doesn't work. Don't get discouraged if you backslide into the old identity. You spend a month going to the gym, saving your money, investing well, and then there's a week where you're on the couch watching Netflix and you ordered a bunch of shit on Amazon and you wasted money. Don't beat yourself up, man. It's okay. This is part of the journey. You're going to be fine. You're going to be just fine. But that beating yourself up energy is just piling more on. And don't beat yourself up for beating yourself up. That becomes an endless loop. I've been there. And lastly, don't give up, okay? Failure is success. Failure is necessary for success. Anyone that has succeeded at anything has failed, period. Because you learn from failure what not to do. You grow from failure so that you can become stronger to come back. It's like any superhero movie or anime, right? They always have to get knocked down, 9 times and get up 10. So it's just part of the journey. Don't worry about it. You have to fail. If you don't fail, you can't succeed. So anyway, if you enjoyed this rant, this Wealth Woods Walk, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and check out other videos I have about how to build wealth and abundance, how to attract love into your life, how to create the life that you want to live. And I hope you choose to make it a great day, because it's your choice. Much peace and love to you, my friend.